Dear student, I know that you are eager to see the real testes first time on the YouTube. See, this one is the real testes of mammal, first time on the YouTube. This one testes of a mammal. It consists of this portion, we call it as epididymis. See, this portion we call it as a cauda epididymis, and this portion, this one, we call it as a vasa deferentia. And on these testes, if you see, all these are the blood vessels. These all are the blood vessels. If you want to see the vertical section of these testes, please see in I button. Thank you. Now in these testes, near about 250 compartments are present, and in that compartment tube-like structures are present. We call it as a seminiferous tubule, and in that seminiferous tubule, near about 500 million sperms are formed in one ejaculation. In case of a male, when male comes in a puberty, and when once the spermatogenesis process start in the male, that process lead till death. Continuous in the body, spermatogenesis process takes place in case of what? Male. How this spermatogenesis process takes place in these testes, and where these sperm get stored in these testes, and when these sperm get ejaculated, how the 500 million sperm formation takes place in such a small space. We will see all these details in case of mammals, in case of a human. Once the testes comes in the scrotum, outside the abdominal cavity, it remains as it is in the scrotum. Why it remains as it is in the scrotum in case of a human? But in case of what? A rabbit, or in case of that rat. In case of a rabbit and in case of a rat, testes, they are present in the abdomen. When this rabbit comes in a heat period, then these testes get descent in the scrotum, and when the heat period get over, again due to the inguinal cord, again these testes pull in the abdomen. But in case of a human, once these testes descend into the scrotum, it remains in the scrotum as it is till death. How it takes place? Which tissue are responsible to hold these testes outside the abdominal cavity? Which cord pull these testes from the abdomen into the scrotum? We are going to see all these details step by step. Welcome to Ultimate Biology. Thanks to give a supports to my channel. Today we are going to start a new chapter, human reproduction. And in this human reproduction, in the coming videos, we will see the details of the male reproductive system, then the female reproductive system. Next topic, that is a gametogenesis, means a TS of testes, TS of ovary, spermatogenesis, oogenesis, structure of sperm, structure of ovum. Next, that is a menstrual cycle. After menstrual cycle, we will see the fertilization and implantation. After that, pregnancy and embryonic development. And in the last video, we will see parturition and lactation. Today we are concerned with the male reproductive system. In the human body, two systems are there. Two sexes are there. One is the male and second one is the female. Male consists of male reproductive system and female consists of female reproductive system. But today in this video we will discuss on only one system, that is a male reproductive system. Male reproductive system. This one is the male reproductive system. And this is a male reproductive system. It consists of these testes, it consists of these accessory duct, it consists of these accessory glands, and it consists of this one external genitalia, that is a penis. We will see these are all parts of that is a male reproductive system one by one. Now say that is a male reproductive system. We are concerned with this male reproductive system. First we will see the position of this male reproductive system in human body. Human body get differentiated into head region, this one neck, we call it as the cervical region, this one thoracic region, thorax, this one is the abdominal region, and this region we call it as a pelvic region, and it consists of this one two forelimb and like these two hand limb. Means our body get a differentiated into head, then this portion we call it as a neck, then this one is the thorax, this one is the abdomen, and below the abdomen this one we call it as a pelvic region, and these are two, that is the forelimbs, and below hand limbs are present. Now where the male reproductive system present in our body? This one is the pelvic region, and in the pelvic region this is the region. This one is the male reproductive system. Means the male reproductive system, it is present in the pelvic region. Now this side is the dorsal side and this side is the ventral side of our body. Male reproductive system, it is present towards the ventral side in the pelvic region. Some organs they are present inside the pelvic region and some organ present. Means some organs they are interior to the pelvic region and some organs they are exterior to the pelvic region. So this one is the exact position of that male reproductive system in a human body. Next is a male reproductive system get differentiated into these are parts. One is the testes, second that is the accessory duct, third one that is the accessory gland, and last one that is the external genitalia. For our convenience to study the detail these are male reproductive system, we differentiate these are male reproductive system in these are parts. First part of that male reproductive system is the testes. This one testes present in this sac, that sac we call it as a scrotum, present outside the abdominal cavity. Two testes are present, means the testes they are in pair, present outside the abdominal cavity in the sac known as the scrotum. Then accessory duct. Accessory means a supportive, means it is support to transport the sperm from testes to outside, from testes to outside. The sperm get ejaculated throughout the body. Accessory means a supportive. Duct means these are tube-like structure. This one, these are tube. Accessory duct. Next, that is the accessory gland. Accessory again supportive. Means these are glands, granthi, which secretion. Access, support these are male reproductive system, and it secrete their secretion at the time of sperm formation, at the time of ejaculation, and these gland secrete their secretion along with the sperm and form a semen, and that semen get released out or it get ejaculate out from the body. That is the accessory gland. And third one, that is the external genitalia. External बाह्य शरीर के बाहर. External genitalia. Genitalia means a penis, from which means it help in the process of that copulation. That organ we call it as a genitalia organ. External genitalia, that is a penis. Now testes, in this video we will see the details of these testes. We will see the scrotum of that testes. In the scrotum the testes, how the testes they are present in the scrotum, then the size of the testes, then the testicular lobules which are present in that testes, then the transverse section of testes like this. Then in the accessory duct we will see the reti testes. Here the reti testes are present. Then it leads into the structure we call it as a epididymis. This one is a structure we call it as what? Epididymis. This one is the epididymis. And from the epididymis one common duct come outside. That is a vasa efferentia. This one here, vasa efferentia is present. Vasa efferentia forms a common duct here, and it come outside like this. That duct we call it as a vasa deferentia, like this. Then accessory gland. 3 glands are present in or associated with the male reproductive system. One is the seminal vesicle gland. This one, seminal vesicle gland. Second, that is the prostate gland. This one is the prostate gland. And third one, we call it as the bulbourethral gland or corpus gland. It is present here. Below this is a prostate gland. That is the bulbourethral glands or corpus gland. Then external genitalia, that is the penis. This one is the penis. Consists of glans penis and the tip of this penis, that is a structure which is present. This structure is nothing but it is a glans penis covered with the skin known as a foreskin. So this is all about that the parts of what? That is a male reproductive system. Dear student, now see the male reproductive system. It consists of this one. First part, that is a testes. These are testes, they are oval in shape, smooth. They are present outside the abdominal cavity. The size of the testes up to these is a 5 centimeter in length. Width is 2 to 3 centimeter in length, and the thickness of these testes, it is 2 centimeter in thickness. These testes, it is a pinkish color body present outside the abdominal cavity in the scrotum. It shows this structure, we call it as epididymis. Inside these testes, locules are present, in which seminiferous tubules are present, and all these seminiferous come outside like this, forms a reti testes, then vasa efferentia, and vasa efferentia passes through these epididymis, and one common duct emerge out. This duct we call it as a vasa deferens, which surrounds this structure known as a urinary bladder, and this vasa deferentia, they join with duct of these one gland known as a seminal vesicle gland, and forms a common duct, this one known as ejaculatory duct. And this ejaculatory duct open here in these passage, or open here in these tube-like structure, this one known as urethra. Urine means from these urinary bladder, through these duct, urine passes out from the body. Now see here, when the sperm, this structure produces sperm by the process we call it as a spermatogenesis. When the sperm get formed here, that sperm get released, and these duct carry the sperm like this. And when the sperm passes through these urethra at that time, urine do not pass. And when the urine get passed through these passage, then sperm do not pass. Means at one time only one function is going on, either urine or that is sperm flow like this. Now this is a structure, we call it as a urethra. Urethra start from this portion, from the lower of this urinary bladder up to the tip of this penis. At the tip of the penis, this urethra open, this opening, we call it as a urethral meatus. Surrounds this urethra. Here one gland is present, that gland we call it as a prostate gland. Means a male reproductive system associated with the accessory gland. One gland, this one first gland, that is a seminal vesicle gland. Second, this is a gland, we call it as a prostate gland. And third one, this is a gland, we call it as a bulbo-urethral gland or Corpus gland. Then the last part of this male reproductive system, that is external genitalia, which is present outside the pelvic region. That is a penis. This penis is a copulatory organ, and this penis at the tip, it shows this portion, we call it as a glans penis, covered with this skin known as foreskin. So this is all about that male reproductive system. Now we will see testes in the detail, then the accessory duct in the details, then the glands, their section in details, and this last part, that is the external genitalia, penis and its section in details. See here. This portion is the abdominal portion of human body. This one is the pelvic region, and this one is the testes, which is present outside the abdominal cavity. Now when the small child or the fetus present in the mother womb at that time, and when that fetus is of 7 month like this old, at the 7th month of that fetus, in the abdominal cavity, the testes get developed. Means in the fetus, testes, it is present in the abdominal cavity, and from the abdominal cavity, by the help of one cord known as the inguinal cord, this cord we call it as the inguinal cord, and with the help of this cord, inguinal cord, this testes, which is abdominal in origin, which is wrapped by inner abdominal wall, we call it as a peritoneum. Along with the peritoneum, this wall, these are two testes which is present in the abdominal, which is a mesodermal in origin. That two testes get pulled apart by this inguinal cord. By the inguinal cord, these two testes get pulled through the canal. That canal we call it as inguinal canal, and the cord which is present here in this inguinal canal, that cord we call it as a inguinal cord. Now once the testes, in case of human male, pull here, and that testes, as soon as it descend here in the scrotum, which is present outside the abdominal cavity, it remains as it is in the it remains as it is outside the abdominal cavity in the scrotum, due to a special type of tissue which is developed here. That tissues we call it as a gubernaculum. But in case of some mammals, for example rabbit or rat, in case of a rabbit and a rat, these are the mammals. In this mammal, testes, they are present inside the abdominal cavity. Testes, they are present inside the abdominal cavity like this. In case of rat also, testes, they are present inside the abdominal cavity. And the same process is there. The inguinal cord pull these testes, and the testes get descent here in the scrotum of this rabbit. When this rabbit or this rat comes in the heat period, we call it as a copulation period, or we call it as a mating period. At the puberty of these both rabbit and this rat, the testes they pull by the inguinal cord, and that the testes they descend here in the scrotum, like this here in the scrotum. But as soon as the copulation process get over, or as soon as the heat period, in case of rabbit, it is near about 2 months like this. After that, after the end of that mating period or copulation period, these testes again pulled by inguinal cord into the abdomen. But in case of human, once the testes which is present in the abdomen, and when the testes get pulled by the inguinal cord, and when the testes comes here into this scrotum, it remains as it is in the scrotum due to these tissues, we call it as a gubernaculum. In case of rabbit and in case of this rat, such a type of gubernaculum, these tissues they do not develop, due to which that testes they do not fix in the scrotum in case of this rabbit, and in case of rat they again pull inside the abdominal cavity. But in case of human, once the testes comes here in this scrotal sac, it remains as it is till death in the scrotal sacs, only due to that formation of what, that tissue we call it as what, gubernaculum. Gubernaculum hold these two testes in the scrotal sac. Now if the testes in case of human male do not descend in the scrotum, and if it remain as it is here in the abdomen, or the inguinal cord pull the testes in the 7th month, when we are at the fetal stage, when these testes get pulled, and if the inguinal cord is unable to pull these testes and unable to pull these testes up to this scrotum, means the testes if remains here in the abdominal cavity, one disorder takes place in that male. That disorder we call it as a cryptochidism, means the testes are unable to descend in the scrotal sac in the 7th month. It leads into this disorder, we call it as what, cryptochidism. It means if the testes they remains in the abdominal cavity, when that male grow and comes in the puberty, at that time the body temperature of that male here, means our body temperature, normal body temperature is 37 degrees centigrade, and in the 37 degrees centigrade, if the testis remains as it is in the abdominal cavity, the production of sperm, or the process we call it as a spermatogenesis, which is carried out in the testes by meiosis cell division, it get affect. Means high temperature like these 37 degrees centigrade affect the process of what, spermatogenesis, and in some males it leads into sterility also. Now when the testes descend here in this scrotal sac, in the scrotal sac, the temperature is less than 2 degrees centigrade or 2.5 degrees centigrade than the abdominal cavity. Means the temperature of this scrotal sac is less than the abdominal cavity, 2 degrees centigrade to 2.5 degrees centigrade. Means in the scrotal sac the temperature should be like this 35 degrees centigrade, and in such a 35 degrees centigrade the spermatogenesis process it get enhanced, and tremendous production of that sperm formation takes place in the testes by the process we call it as a spermatogenesis. Near about 500 million sperm form in the seminiferous tubules, and it get ejaculated in one ejaculation. Near about 500 million sperm, which is a microscopic in nature, get released from the male body in one ejaculation. Such a tremendous formation of sperm takes place in these 35 degrees centigrade. Means 2 degrees centigrade or 2.5 degrees centigrade less temperature than the abdominal cavity, due to which the testes they descend here in the scrotal sac. Means due to which the two testes they are present outside the abdominal cavity. It favors in the production of what? Sperm. In the production of that sperm, in the formation of that sperm, that process we call it as a spermatogenesis. But in case of a rabbit, in case of a rat, as soon as the copulation period get over, again that the testes they pull in the abdominal cavity. So here now see, we will see the structure of the scrotum. This one scrotum. Scrotum it is a structure present outside the abdominal cavity in between the two legs. Scrotum, it is a pouch. It is a pouch of a pigmented skin. Means this is the pouch of a pigmented skin, and the wall of this scrotum, it is made up of a special type of muscles, and that muscles we call it as a dartos muscle. Dartos muscle, they are present here in the wall of this scrotum. Dartos muscles are smooth muscles. They contract and relax. They contract and relax like this. And due to the contraction and relaxation of these dartos muscles, these scrotum act as a thermoregulator. That scrotum, it acts as a thermoregulator in the human body. When the temperature is more at that time, these are two testes which is present in the scrotum. These are two species come at the lower position. Means these are two testes, they hang in the scrotum. With the help of this cord we call it as a spermatic cord. Which cord? Spermatic cord. Due to this spermatic cord, these are two testes, they hang inside the scrotum. When the temperature is more at that time, the dartos muscle which is there, that dartos muscles, it get relaxed and testes come slightly lower in position like this. But when the temperature is less, in case of rainy season or in case of winter season at that time, these dartos muscle will get contract. And when it get contract, the testes also pull up like this, and it pull up to the pubic symphysis. Means it pull up to the pubic symphysis, and then the body temperature get gained by these testes for the production of what? That is sperm. Means here these scrotum, it act as a thermoregulators like this. Inside the scrotum, two testes are present. These are the two testes, number 1 and number 2 like this. And these are two testes, they are separated by one wall. This one is the wall. We call it as a septal scrotum, or we call it as a septal scroti. And this wall, it is muscular. This wall again, it is made up of muscles. We call it as a smooth muscles, and it is made up of connective tissue. These septal scrotum divide the testes into like these two parts. One testis present in one sac and another testis present in another scrotal sac like this. And this septal scrotum easily detected by our naked eye. There is a scar on the testes. That mark shows the testes get divided into two, like these two parts. At the base of these testes, these tissue get formed. That tissues we call it as a gubernaculum. And these tissue, they are fibromuscular band. Once these gubernaculum get formed here at the base of these testes, these two testes get fixed here inside this scrotum. Means inguinal cord, they do not pull these two testes again in the abdominal cavity. These two testes, they present outside the abdominal cavity, and it remain as it is due to these gubernaculum, that is a fibromuscular band. These are dartos muscle and these are gubernaculum are important as far as the NEET exam is concerned. Now see here, these are two testes are there, and these are two testes, it consists of this wall, this one, and that wall we call it as a tunica vaginalis. Tunica, tunicates. Tunica means it is a protective coat. Tunica, protective coat. Means these are these are testes, they are covered with this protective coat like this, known as a tunica vaginalis. And this protective coat, it is made up of a peritoneum wall. And peritoneum, this wall is only present in the abdominal cavity. The inner wall of this abdominal cavity, we call it as a peritoneum. Testes wrapped in this peritoneum, and that peritoneum, when the testes descend in the scrotal sac, this peritoneum wall remains as it is, surround these testes, this protective coat remain as it is, surround the testes and descend in the scrotal sac. It is a proof that these testes, they are abdominal in origin. Means they are present in the abdomen, and due to the inguinal cord, they pull here in this scrotal sac. Now this protective layer, that is a tunica vaginalis, made up of this peritoneum, surrounds with this one next layer known as a internal fascia. Then this internal fascia again surrounds with another layer, we call it as a cremasteric, and cremasteric again surrounds with the next wall, we call it as, that is a external fascia. Means these testes get protected by like this multi-layered wall. And like these two testes, they are present here in the sac. That sac we call it as what? Like this scrotal sac. This is all about this scrotum. And this scrotum and these testes, they are present outside the abdominal cavity, in between the two legs below. We call it as a pubic symphysis, towards the ventral side of our body, outside the pelvic region, exterior to the pelvic region. These organs, they are present outside the abdominal cavity. That is the scrotum. Now we will see the ileus of testes. This one testes, that is a primary sex organ, which is a mesodermal in origin, surrounds with these protective, these coat, we call it as a peritoneum. Means these testes, they are abdominal in origin, like this. If you take a section of these testes, like this vertical section, or if you take the ileus of the testes, inside the testes, like these compartments are seen, and these compartment cuppe, and these compartment formed due to these one layer known as a tunica vasculosa. These tunica vasculosa, these tissue invaginate inwards like this, and differentiate these testes into like these compartment, and these compartment we call it as testicular lobules. Testicular lobules. In the testes, lobules are there, space are there, cuppe like this, compartments are there like this, and one human testes consists of 250 like these compartments. We call it as testicular lobules. In Pradeep book, they wrote that near about 250 to 300. In some book 200 to 300 like these testicular lobules are present in each testis. But in NCERT book they clearly mention that near about 250 like these compartments are present here in the testes. We call it as testicular lobules. And in these testicular lobules, in these that compartments, like these tube-like structures are present, and these tube-like small hair-like structures, which is a branch in nature. 2 to 3 branches are formed here. This structure we call it as seminiferous tubules. This structure. these structures we call it as a seminiferous tubule. Semini means from these tube, inside these tube, by the process of spermatogenesis, by the process we call it as a meiosis cell division on Sertoli cell from germinal epithelium, sperm formation takes place. Seminiferous tubules, tube-like structures are there in which like this the sperm formation takes place, due to which it denote as a seminiferous tubules. Here so many seminiferous tubules are there, here seminiferous tubule, here seminiferous tubules, like this. So many seminiferous tubules they are present in the compartments. And all these seminiferous tubules then come out and forms here in it like this structure we call it as the retitestis. From the retitestis it comes into this epididymis and it forms a common duct, we call it as vasa, like this differentia. This one, that is a ileus of testis. Now we will see the details of these ileus of testis, their layers, and what is there in this ileus of testis. We will see detail in next slide. See here. Ileus of testis, this one. If you see the ileus of these testes, it show 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, like this, near about 250 compartments. And these 250 compartments, they are formed by these tunica vasculosa. This tunica vasculosa, it is made up of a loose connective tissue, and this loose connective tissue they invaginate inwards, and due to which these testes get differentiated into like this compartment, and this compartment we call it as a testicular lobules. And in each testicular lobules like these coil tube-like structures are present, which is a branch in nature. 2 to 3 branch are present, and these coil tube-like structure, convoluted tube-like structure, hair-like structures, we call it as this one. We call it as this one, seminiferous tubules. All these seminiferous tubules forms a straight like these tube-like structure when they emerge out from these testicular lobules. They form like this straight, like this tube-like structure known as these straight tubules, and these straight tubules then comes here in this region, this one, we call it as retitestis. Here reticulate means jali, net, means here in this portion all these tubes comes outside, and all these tubes they entangle with each other like this, and they forms like this net, and this net we call it as a reti, due to which the name is given, that is the retitestis. And in these retitestis, here the tubes which are there, in that tubes the inner lining, it is made up of cuboidal epithelial cells, and from that cuboidal epithelial cells single cilium get emerge out. Single small microscopic hair-like structure they form here in these retitestis. These single cilium push the sperm forward into these these tubes, which pierces and leads into this structure we call it as epididymis. This structure we call it as efferent ductules, and these efferent ductules measures up to 15 to 20, like this 15 to 20, like this duct-like structure, common duct-like structure which form from these retitestis, pierce these we call it as a capsule, that is a tunica albuginea, and it comes here into this portion. That portion we call it as a epididymis. Epididymis, it is present towards the antero, this one lateral side like this. This one is the epididymis, this one. And these epididymis get differentiated into 3 parts. This one first part, this one second part, and this one third part. This one we call it as a head or caput epididymis. This one, this portion, we call it as a head or caput epididymis. This one, head or caput epididymis. Here the sperm undergoes the physiological changes. Some physiological changes takes place in this region, in these epididymis. Then epididymis, where the very coil like this tube-like structure is present in these caput epididymis. It leads into next portion, this one, and this is the next portion of this epididymis. This one we call it as a body or corpus epididymis. This one, corpus epididymis, and this is a corpus epididymis. Then leads into this structure. This one we call it as a tail, or we call it as a cauda. Cauda means a tail. कौड़ा यानी घोड़े की पूंछ. दिस वन, वो घोड़े के पूंछ के जैसा उसका आकार होता है, इसलिए दिस पोर्शन इज कवर्ड विथ दिस थ्री वॉल. One we call it as this one, that is a tunica vesiculosa, made up of loose connective tissue which invaginate inwards and divide these testes into 250 like this compartment. Second wall, this one we call it as a capsule tunica albuginea, which is a fibrous in nature, and this tunica albuginea surrounds with a third, this one. Third wall we call it as a tunica vaginalis. This one, tunica vaginalis. Tunica vaginalis, it is a peritoneum wall. Means it is abdominal in origin. Abdominal innermost wall we call it as a peritoneum, and that peritoneum wrap around these testes. Our kidney also wrap around due to that wall, we call it as what? Peritoneum. Means it prove that these testes, they are abdominal in origin, and these tunica vaginalis, it is a protective in nature like this. It protects the testes because this one, that is a albuginea, or this is a tunica. Tunica means tunicates, means one protective layer. Means this is a tunica, these vaginalis, and tunica, these vesiculosa, and this tunica, this one albuginea, protect these kidney. These are the protective walls. Here, this one tunica vaginalis again differentiated into the three layers. Innermost, this one known as a visceral layer. Then this one middle, we call it as a cavity in which a fluid is present, and outermost, this one we call it as the parietal layer. So this is all about the LS of testes. On these LS of testes, that AIPMT, they construct questions like this. We will see some MCQ on these LS of testes. See here, CBSE AIPMT 2011, this one question. The question goes like this: the testes in humans are situated outside the abdominal cavity, inside a pouch called scrotum. The purpose served is for, number one, escaping any possible compression by the visceral organ. Second, providing more space for the growth of epidermis. Third option, providing a secondary sexual feature for exhibiting the male sex. And last option, maintaining the scrotal temperature lower than the internal body temperature. These are the four options. Which is the correct answer? Please mention in the comments. See here the question. The testes in humans are situated outside the abdominal cavity, inside a pouch called scrotum. A purpose served is for escaping any possible compression by the visceral organ. Now see here, visceral organ, they are present in our this abdominal cavity, or here in this thoracic region like this. These are the visceral organs. But testes, they are present outside the abdominal cavity. So this option is wrong. Second, that is providing more space for the growth of epididymis. There is no need to provide more space for that epididymis. So this one is also wrong. Then providing a secondary sexual features for exhibiting the male sex. Secondary sexual characters like these mustaches, then the voice change, then like this is some pubic hairs and all. These are the secondary sexual characters. These secondary sexual characters, they are totally depends on hormones. Means this is also not a correct answer. Correct answer is this one, that is maintaining the scrotal temperature lower than the internal body temperature. These are testes, they are present outside the abdominal cavity, and in the abdominal cavity our body temperature, normal body temperature is at 37 degrees centigrade. Outside the abdominal cavity the temperature it ranges up to like this 25 that is the 35 degrees centigrade. In such a low 2 degrees centigrade temperature, production of sperm get tremendously increased. Means this one is the correct answer to this question. Next, see here, disorders of testes. These all are the disorders of testes. Means the testes, they do not follow the orders of our body, that is a disorders. One we call it as a hernia. Second we call it as a hydrocele. Next one, that is a testicular cancer. Next one, that is a hypogonadism. Next one, that is a testicular torsion. Next one, that is a epididymitis. And last one, that is a testicular, that is a trauma. We will see hernia in the detailed sense here, and then we will just discuss what is hydrocele and like this, these all disorders. See, in case of hernia, these are disorders, how this disorder takes place in our body. This one is the normal human body. This one means that this one, the testes, this portion we call it as epididymis, and from the epididymis there is a common duct which emerge out. This common duct we call it as a vasa deferens. Now this is a canal, we call it as a inguinal canal. This is a canal, we call it as a inguinal canal. This one, inguinal canal. And in this inguinal canal, that one cord is there, that cord we call it as a inguinal cord. But here in case of our body, this inguinal canal, it remains as it is. But due to some means, if we are creating more pressure on our small intestine, then by chance, this small intestine part pierces this inguinal canal tissue. And this small intestine, this one is the small intestine, this one, small intestine, quite small intestine, this one. So this is a small intestine, small part pierces the inguinal canal tissue and it enters inside this inguinal canal space and leads into the disorders known as inguinal hernia, which is present into the canal. Means small intestine when insert here in this inguinal canal, this inguinal hernia formation takes place. This is a disorder. A pelvic pain is there. Next one we call it as inguinal hernia into scrotum. When the small intestine through this inguinal cord directly enter up to the scrotum, or this small intestine when enters here up to the scrotum here through this inguinal canal, by piercing this inguinal canal, then here such a disorder cause that disorder we call it as a hernia, inguinal hernia in the scrotum. So operation is needed. In the operation they cut here and they by loop they pull out this small intestine again here in its original position like this. This one is the disorder, we call it as a hernia. Now next here, next disorder related to these testes, that is a hydrocele. Here hydro means water. Means in the scrotum, if excess water get filled, that disorder we call it as a hydrocele. It affect the process of spermatogenesis. Then acute pain takes place in that scrotal region, in the pelvic region. That is a hydrocele. Next one, that is a testicular cancer. Testicular cancer. Cancerous growth takes place in the testes. It may be in the compartment, it may be in the seminiferous tubules, it may be in the retitestes or in the vasa efferentia or in the epididymis. Cancerous growth takes place there. That is the uncontrolled and undifferentiated growth takes place and not formation takes place, leads into the cancer. Totally affect the production of that sperm. It leads to the sterility. That is the testicular cancer. Next, that is a hypogonadism. Hypogonadism means that the testes, they do not develop. Testes are underdeveloped. Though they are present in the scrotal sac, testes are underdeveloped. They are not developed. And formation of that sperm get totally affect in such individuals. Then testicular torsion is there. This one testicular, that is a torsion. Sometimes the spermatic cords and the muscles which are present surround these spermatic cords, and that the spermatic cords contract, or this spermatic cord it coil like this. Multiple coil takes place there, and due to which acute pain takes place in that region. We call it as the testicular torsion. Takes place in that testicular lobules also. The next one, that is the epididymitis. The epididymis portion which is there, in which the coil tube which is present, that coil tube which is present inside this epididymis, in the head of epididymis, body of epididymis, and the tail of epididymis, this coil tube get a swell, and due to the swelling, acute pain takes place in that region. We call it as epididymitis. And last one, that is a testicular, that is a trauma. Testicular, this one, that is a testicular trauma. It caused due to the accident, by chance. If that testes get torn, or if that testes get damaged, or by accident, so like this disorder takes place, known as a testicular trauma. These are about the disorders of what? That is the testes. Now, accessory duct. Accessory duct consists of this one, retitestis, then this one vasa efferentia, then this portion we call it as epididymis, and this is a common duct, we call it as vasa deferentia. Up to this is a portion from here to here. We call it as a accessory duct. Now see here, accessory duct in case of this human male reproductive system. These all are the seminiferous tubules. They are present here in the compartment like this, testicular lobules, and it emerge out in this portion. We call it as retitestis. Means first that accessory duct is the seminiferous tubule, in which sperm formation process takes place. Second is a portion, we call it as second here, the straight tubes which is there, that with this one, that is straight tubule. This one is the second accessory duct in case of a male reproductive system. These are straight tubes emerge here in this portion. We call it as a retitestis. This one, that is a accessory duct, that is a retitestis. It forms a net-like structure here, and from the retitestis like this, efferent ductules, or we call it as a vasa efferentia. This one, it pierces the tunica vaginalis, and it, by piercing, it comes here in this portion. That portion we call it as epididymis. And in the epididymis, this portion we call it as a cauda, the head of epididymis, body of epididymis, then cauda, epididymis like this. Here there is a coil tube-like structure which is present. That is the accessory duct, and this is a coil tube-like structure rejoined to form one common duct. That common duct, that we call it as this one fifth, that is a ductus deferens, or we call it as a vasa deferentia. And this vasa deferentia then emerge here in the abdominal cavity like this. So this is all about what? That is the accessory duct which are present in our body. Now see how these accessory duct they present here in this human male reproductive system. First one, seminiferous tubules which are present here. Seminiferous tubule leads into next straight tubules. This one, straight tubules leads into the retitestis. This one is the retitestis. Retitestis leads into these efferent ductules, or these vasa efferentia. These all retitestis emerge here into these vasa efferentia, and then it forms last, we call it as this common duct, that is a vasa deferentia. This is all about that accessory duct concerned with the male reproductive system. Now on these some objective questions are there. We will discuss only one question here. See here, vasa efferentia are the ductules leading from, they ask in CBSE AIPMT 2010, vasa efferentia are the ductules leading from, these are the four options. One, that is the testicular lobules to retitestis. Second, retitestis to vasa deferentia. Then vasa deferentia to epididymis. And last one, that is the epididymis to urethra. Now see here, these vasa efferentia are the ductules leading from testicular lobules. These are the testicular lobules to retitestis. Here the retitestis is there like this. This one, retitestis. These are the testicular lobules. From here to here, this one vasa efferentia, means this one is the wrong answer. Then retitestis to vasa deferentia. This one retitestis, from retitestis, this one is the vasa efferentia. Then from vasa efferentia to this one we call it as vasa deferentia. Means from retitestis to this one vasa deferentia, this portion we call it as a vasa efferentia. Means this one is the correct answer. Second, like this. So they ask such questions in a NET exam or in case of these PMT exams like these, a competitive exam. Now see here, accessory glands. Male reproductive system get associated with the three glands. This one seminal vesicle gland, this one prostate gland, and this one that is a bulbourethral gland. We will see the details of this gland in next slide. See here. This one is the accessory sex glands and their functions like this. This one is the first gland, we call it as a seminal vesicle gland. Seminal vesicle glands are in pair. Seminal vesicle glands, this one, are in pair. These are the seminal vesicle gland. They are in pair. They are convoluted like this. And the seminal vesicle gland measures up to 4 cm in length. And this is the seminal vesicle gland. It is the important gland because it secretes fructose. Now see here, in the male body, in the seminal vesicle gland, fructose formation is there. On the other hand, in the female body, in the total female body, there is no formation of that fructose. Means in the female body, fructose formation do not take place. Fructose formation takes place in case of a male body. In this gland, that gland we call it as the seminal vesicle gland. It produces fructose. Fructose acts as a coagulating enzyme. Now, for example, if a rape case is there, ऐसी अगर केस है रेप केस और जो फीमेल है उनको एतराज़ है और उन्होंने FIR अगर किया है तो वो फीमेल के बॉडी में से सबसे पहले जो है उनके वजाइना में से सैंपल्स कलेक्ट किए जाते हैं हॉस्पिटल में एंड इन दैट सैंपल इफ फ्रुक्टोज इज प्रेजेंट और एक फ्रुक्टोज टेस्ट है वो अगर पॉजिटिव आती है तो फीमेल के बॉडी में तो फ्रुक्टोज बनता नहीं है फिर ये फ्रुक्टोज फीमेल के बॉडी में इन दैट ट्रैक रिप्रोडक्टिव ट्रैक ऑफ दैट फीमेल बॉडी ये फ्रुक्टोज आया कहाँ से इट मीन्स इट कम्स फ्रॉम दिस मेल रिप्रोडक्टिव दिस सेक्स ग्लैंड नोन एज अ सेमिनल वेसिकल ग्लैंड इसका मतलब वो जो फीमेल है उसके ऊपर दुष्कर्म जो है हुआ है उसके ऊपर रेप जो है हुआ है ये सिद्ध होता है क्योंकि फ्रुक्टोज सिर्फ मेल की बॉडी ही बनाती है वो भी सेमिनल वेसिकल ग्लैंड और फीमेल के कोई भी बॉडी के अंदर कोई भी टिश्यूज फ्रुक्टोज को नहीं बनाते सो दैट इज वन एविडेंस इन द कोर्ट दैट a seminal vesicle gland it produces these fructose then it produces these prostaglandins which is formed by these seminal vesicle gland help in the contraction in the female reproductive tract when the male release the sperm ejaculate the sperm in the female reproductive tract these prostaglandins due to the prostaglandins the wall of that female reproductive tract get contract like this and this contraction help the movement of sperm to reach up to the egg. These are prostaglandins. Next, these are seminal vesicle secretion. It is alkaline in nature, somewhat yellowish in color. Then it is a viscous seminal fluid. It is a ascorbic in which ascorbic acid is present, citrate is present, then in-sorbitol is present. So many like this material get released from this seminal this vesicle gland and these all the two glands these are all material then release here into the common that duct, we call it as ejaculatory duct. And from the ejaculatory duct, it comes into the common passage. That the passage we call it as a urethra. This portion we call it as what? That is a urethra. Now second gland, this gland associated with the male reproductive system. That gland we call it as a prostate gland. Now this prostate gland is a chestnut shape, and the size of this gland is a golf ball size. It is a spongy in nature, surrounds all around the urethra. ये जो urethra है इसके चारों तरफ से ये होता है. And this spongy nature, this gland, prostate gland, release the prostatic fluid. This prostatic fluid is milky, then slightly acidic fluid. Release the citrate, which is important for the or it act as a sperm nutrients. The sperm motility get increased due to the secretion of this gland. That gland we call it as a prostate gland. That is the second accessory gland which is associated with the male reproductive system. First gland, this one, seminal vesicle. Second gland, this one, that is a prostate gland. Third gland which get associated with the male reproductive system. That gland we call it as a Corpus gland or bulbourethral gland. This one, it is a P-shaped size gland. मटर के आकार के जैसा होता है, वटाने के आकार के जैसा होता है, इतना आकार उसका होता है. And these corpus or this bulbourethral gland, it release the alkaline mucus, and is a mucus which is alkaline in nature. It act as a lubricant. When the mucus get released, then there is a complete urethra which is there. See here, the complete urethra. This one, these gland release this one. This gland we call it as a bulbourethral gland, and this gland release the mucus here. And when the mucus which is alkaline in nature release here, it forms a like this a coat of alkaline this mucus all around this urethra. The main function of this alkaline this mucus which is secreted by this bulbourethral gland is the urinary tract is acidic in nature, and in the acidic nature some sperm get killed. So to avoid these killing of these sperm, first these tract convert into alkaline in nature, due to which that spermy that we call it as the side nature of that acidic nature of this urine, it get stopped and all that sperm get released out into the or it get ejaculated out of our body like this. So this one, this gland, it secretes alkaline mucus, it coat the urethra, and it help in the process of the mating. It use as a lubrication, it help as a lubrication in the process of that mating process or that copulation process. So this is all about what? These are accessory sex glands which are associated with the male reproductive system. Now one question is there. This is seminal plasma in human male is rich in. Now see here, these are seminal vesicle gland. Second, this gland we call it as a prostate gland, and third one, this gland we call it as a Corpus gland or this is a bulbourethral gland. These are three glands secrete their secretion, and the secretion which gets secreted by these three glands, common we call it as a seminal fluid. And when the sperm present in this seminal fluid, then that content we call it as a semen. If only sperms are there, then it is not semen. If only seminal fluid is there, then it is not a semen. Seminal fluid, which is the seminal fluid? Secretion of these seminal vesicle, secretion of this one, that is prostate gland, and secretion of these bulbourethral or Corpus gland, secretion of these three glands along with the sperm, we call it as semen. Only secretion of these three glands, we call it as a seminal plasma. So question is like this: is seminal plasma in human male is rich in number one, fructose and calcium, second, glucose and calcium, third one, DNA and testosterone, next one, ribose and potassium. See here, ribose and potassium, this is a ribose sugar is not present here. DNA, deoxyribose nucleic acid, DNA, this structure it is not present, and testosterone, that hormone, is also not present in that gland. Then glucose and calcium is also not present. Fructose and this calcium is present. Seminal vesicle gland release fructose. Fructose only released by the male body from the seminal vesicle gland. So first answer, this one, A, fructose and calcium, it is the correct answer. Now see here, this one is the testes. In the testes, like these tube-like structures are present, we call it as a seminiferous tubule. In the seminiferous tubules, sperms are formed, and from these seminiferous tubules, it comes into this portion, we call it as the retitestes. And from the retitestes, like these 10 to 12 tubes emerge, these a capsule, and it comes here and forms a coil like this a tube. These tubes we call it as a vasa efferentia. From the vasa efferentia, that sperm comes here into these epididymis, and from this epididymis, that sperm travel through this common duct. That duct we call it as a vasa deferentia, and then that sperm ultimately they comes here into this bulge portion, we call it as ampulla, and this ampulla along with this seminal vesicle, this gland, forms a common duct. That duct we call it as ejaculatory duct. From the ejaculatory duct, that sperms they comes here into this urethra. Now see here, this is a urethra which is a 20 centimeter in length. Means from this urinary bladder up to the tip of this penis, this one urethra, it measures up to 20 centimeter in length. Urethra, which is the common passage of sperm as well as urine. When urine passes, then sperm do not pass. When sperm or that semen get pass, then urine do not pass, like this. Urethra, this one, from here to here, differentiated into three parts. One is the proximal, this one is the proximal, from here to here. This one is the proximal, or we call it as the prostatic urethra, because of here prostatic, this one prostate gland is present. The prostate gland surround this urethra up to this one. This portion of urethra we call it as the prostatic urethra. Then second part of urethra, that is a middle, that is a membranous urethra. From here to here, this one, that is a membranous urethra, do not surrounded by any like this portion. And third one, from here, from the base of this bulbourethral gland to the tip of this penis, known as a distal urethra, distal long urethra. It passes through the penis, due to which known as a pineal urethra. Means a urethra, this is a tube, this one, differentiated into three parts. One proximal, second middle, third distal. This one is the proximal, this one is the middle, and this one we call it as a distal long, that is a pineal urethra, like this. The sperm ultimately comes here through the ejaculatory duct. It comes into this portion, we call it as a proximal prostatic urethra, to this middle membranous urethra, to this long, that is we call it as a pineal urethra, and then that all the sperms along with that seminal fluid, that is a semen, get ejaculated out through this common opening known as a urethral meatus. So this is the root of that sperm, that which travel these all duct, and then ultimately they release out like this. Now see here how the sperm they release, or what is the route? Sperm route through the accessory duct. One seminiferous tubule, here they form. Then from seminiferous tubules they comes here in the retitestes. From the retitestes they comes here into these vasa efferentia. From the vasa efferentia they comes here into these epididymis. Then from epididymis they comes into this common duct, we call it as epi, that is a vasa, not efferentia, it is a deferentia. And from vasa deferentia it comes into the ejaculatory duct. From ejaculatory duct it comes in the urethra. From urethra it releases from the common opening, we call it as a urethral meatus. That is a sperm route through the accessory duct. On these, like this in 2019, means the previous year, they construct questions on these sperm route. Select the correct sequences for transport of sperm cell in the male reproductive system. One is the seminiferous tubule, next vasa efferentia, next epididymis, from epididymis inguinal canal, then urethra. Second, that is the testes, epididymis, vasa efferentia, ejaculatory duct, then inguinal canal, then this urethral meatus, urethra to urethral meatus. Next C1, that is the testes, epididymis, vasa efferentia, retitestes, inguinal cord and urethra. And last one, seminiferous tubule, next retitestes, next vasa efferentia, next epididymis, next vasa deferentia, ejaculatory duct, urethra and this urethral meatus. In first one, see here, seminiferous tubule, correct. Then from seminiferous tubules to vasa efferentia, here retitestes should be needed, but okay. Then epididymis, okay, but here inguinal cord is, inguinal canal is there. Inguinal canal is not a part of these sperm transport. Means this is not a correct answer. Next testes, next epididymis again. Here also see inguinal canal. Next testes, then epididymis, not a testes, here the seminiferous tubule is like this. Vasa efferentia, retitestes, inguinal cord again. It is not a correct answer. Seminiferous tubule, yes. Then from seminiferous tubule, retitestes, yes. From retitestes it comes here in the vasa efferentia, yes. Then from vasa efferentia it comes into what? Epididymis, correct. From epididymis to the epi, that is the vasa deferentia, correct. Then vasa deferentia to the ejaculatory duct, yes. Then from ejaculatory duct to the urethra. From urethra to this urethral meatus. Means this one D is the correct answer of these questions. Now see. Next, last part, that is a penis. External genitalia consists of penis, glans penis and that foreskin. Penis, this one, this is the external genitalia, we call it as a penis. Differentiated into this portion penis, into this that is a glans penis, this one, and this skin fold which is present here, that is a foreskin like this. We call it as a prepuce or we call it as a foreskin. Now male reproductive system get associated with the 3 gland, no doubt. But in the penis, at the glans penis towards the lower side, here, small like this one gland is present. That gland we call it as a prepuceal gland. And is a prepuceal gland, it release this smegma. It is a pasty, whitish, foul smelling material which is formed by due to the secretion of this gland, and it presents around this glans penis. There is a need to release to clean this magma time to time like this. Now see the penis, the section of penis, transverse section of penis. If you take the transverse section of penis, it consists of this tissue known as the corpus cavernosum, this one, and the urethra which is there surrounds with this tissue. That tissue we call it as a corpus spongiosum. Means this is corpus, this is spongiosum. Means these tissue are spongy in nature. This one is the urethra. This one is the urethra. Surround with this tissue. That tissue we call it as a corpus spongiosum. And these are tissue which are present in the penis. This one we call it as a corpus cavernosum. In this the corpus cavernosum, here sinuses are present, space are present, and in this the corpus cavernosum, the sinuses which are there, in which that blood capillaries, nerve endings are there. अगर इसमें blood capillaries से blood in sinuses में आता है तो penis it get erected, और उसमें से ये सब blood वापस अगर capillaries में आता है तो penis erect नहीं होता, it become loose like this. So these tissues are the erectile tissues. These tissues become hard, and these tissue they help in the process of that copulation. Means that a penis get erected due to these tissues. So like this corpus cavernosum present in the testes, in this penis, and this urethra gets surrounds with this tissue, we call it as a corpus spongiosum. Now this corpus spongiosum which is there, see this one here, urethra is present towards the lower side of this penis, here urethra is present, and this urethra surround with the tissue, this one corpus spongiosum. This is called corpus spongiosum at the tip, means at the tip it forms like this penis. That penis we call it as glans. This is a glans penis. This one, this is a glans penis, made up of this spongy tissue, made up of this corpus spongiosum. Means the corpus spongiosum which is formed surround this urethra. This corpus spongiosum at the tip, they surround and they forms a major portion of this glans penis. Means this glans penis, it is made up of this spongiosum tissue, and then at the tip it shows the opening. That opening we call it as urethral meatus. What is it? Urethral meatus. And this glans penis surround with like this skin, that we call it as a foreskin. So this is all about what? That is a transverse section of this penis. Male reproductive system. Now see here. Now overall the male reproductive system, it consists of like this pair of testes. Then it consists of this pair of this one, we call it as vasa differentia. Then it consists of this pair of ejaculatory duct. Then it leads into common this one like this passage, we call it as a urethra. These testes, they are present in this sac. That sac we call it as a scrotum. These are two testes which are there. If you take a vertical section, inside compartments are there. That compartment we call it as a testicular lobules. In the testicular lobules, like this seminiferous tubules are there. In the seminiferous tubules, sperm formation is there. Then this portion we call it as epididymis. Then in these epididymis, from these testicular lobules, from the seminiferous tubules, all the duct comes here. That is the vasa differentia comes here into these epididymis, leads into this common duct, we call it as vasa differentia, surrounds this urinary bladder, and it get fused with these seminal vesicle. This duct forms a common duct, we call it as a ejaculatory duct, open into this common passage, we call it as a urethra. Three glands are associated with the male reproductive system. That is three gland, we call it as a seminal vesicle gland. Second gland we call it as a prostate gland, and third gland, that is a bulbourethral gland. These are three glands secrete their secretion and form the seminal fluid in which the sperms are there, and along with the sperms, that we call it as a semen, these all material they release out in the ejaculation through these the urethral, we call it as a meatus. This is all about what? The male reproductive system. Thank you.